are going to be watching the first part of the 5-star like intro series, where there's like 3 parts right now, where it's, I guess, showing the process of how they did the album, right? Or like just talking about the album and stuff. And as you know, I love the 5-star album, so I'm very excited to get into this. So if you're watching this on YouTube, most likely this video it'll be a cut version of the full video that will be available exclusively on Patreon. So you'll still get the main parts, but it'll be cut down, and the full version will be on Patreon. You'll still get the full experience, but it's just going to be the highlights of, you know, the parts of these videos. So today we're just doing part 1 of the intro, because it's quite a long video. It's like 40 minutes long. So it's going to take us a while, probably. So without further ado, let's get into this video. I'm very excited for this because I've been meaning to watch this for a while. People have recommended it and stuff. So
스키즈 특 평범한 거 안 좋아함.
here we go. Oh, Han's looking good.
아, 미쳤구나.
약간 오늘은 짭키주름 느낌으로 가보자고.
짭키주름.
Why does
짭키주름에
Lino's hair looks so fluffy here? Like first soft and fluffy.
좋지. 약간 오늘은 짭키주름 느낌으로 가보자고.
짭키주름.
야, 투키주름에 별이 5개 돌침대 같은 느낌이지.
돌침대?
He's like, what?
우리는
What are you talking about, bro?
데뷔부터 돌이 되고 싶어 했으니까.
5스타랑 무슨 상관이 있어?
별이 5개니까.
아, 별이 5개면은 돌침대야?
그럼.
처음 듣는 얘기네.
형 몰라요 그 CF?
형 몰라.
Jen's just like, what are you saying?
호주 인간. 봤을 때야 좀 이게 맞는 건가 하면서 불안해했는데 지금은 되게 많은 분들이 우리 좋아해 주시고 스트레이키즈라는 팀을 한 장르로 봐주고 있는 그런 분들이 많이.
He's got a sense of confidence in their
우리가
place
우리 노래 내는 거에
now.
대해서 부담감은 없는 것 같아.
처음 들었을 때, 와 이게 진짜 무슨 곡일까?
네, 다 그런 반응인 것 같아.
뭐랄까?
Interesting.
신선하다, 신선하다 했는데.
So they were all kind of like, okay, what's going on with this song? Like, what's the kind of goal with this song? You know, like they were all kind of thinking about it, which is interesting to me. I find that fascinating.
이 정도까지인가 싶긴 했었거든. 근데 한 3번째쯤 듣자마자, 근데 이게 확실히 타이틀곡의 그 무게가 느껴지긴 하네.
Actually, I felt the same way, you know, about S-Class. Like the first time I listened to it, I was like, yeah, this is good, right? But I'm not fully sure how to feel about it. And I listened to it a couple more times, like off stream, like off video and off stream and stuff. And I was like, okay, this is really good. And the more you listen to it, the better the title track, like S-Class, becomes. Because I remember, like, there's certain songs in the album, like Item and Collision, which I really loved immediately, right? S-Class, it was like, I liked it when I first listened to it, but it was like this almost, I was like, I wasn't sure about it. You know, I wasn't sure if I loved it or if it's just like, oh, this is an all right track. And then the more I listened to it, I've listened to it over like 40 times by now. I'm in love with it. I really like the song. So I can see even where they're coming from. Like I agree with it. I don't know if this is true, but the vibe I get from God's Menu, right? It feels like just the way people talk about it. It seems like God's Menu was the song that really put Stray Kids on the map. You know what I mean? It was like the song that really, from a like international audience perspective, I think it was the song that really made them be like, okay, this is a name. It's going to become a household name in the future. You know, it became. I feel like that's at least one of the songs that really led to their success. That's the vibe I'm getting, and based on the way a lot of people comment about God's Menu and stuff, and like the amount of just international fans I see reacting to God's Menu and stuff like that. During the time it had been released, I think it was like what if it was. I don't want to say it was the song that made Stray Kids, but I think it was the song that really exposed them to a lot of different fans, in my opinion.
Oh, my spotlight is so bright.
그 정도? Oh, this is good. What you're doing right now, what you're practicing is good. The one that you recorded, it wasn't so good.
Okay,
but
okay.
yeah.
The practice one was okay, right?
Yeah, right now what you practice is good.
Okay, okay, all right.
All right.
They wonder how my spotlight is so bright.
Yeah, that was better.
우리 건 약간 노래만
was-
들으면은
even I could hear it was better.
이러다가도 퍼포먼스랑 같이 보면 되게.
So we are getting
재밌고,
behind the scenes
근데
stuff.
또 퍼포먼스만 보면은 저게 뭐야 싶기도 하단 말이야.
맞아.
그러니까
노래랑
이 두 개를 같이 섞어서 같이 봐야 우리만의 느낌이 난다 하는 그런 거여가지고 퍼포먼스가 되게 기대됐었어. 나 처음에 들었을 때.
처음 들었을 때.
I think I agree with what he's saying. Like this album, I think why it's so good is it's a very Stray Kids album. In that, like, the songs are very Stray Kids like style, like vibe. Like when you're listening to those, like if I chuck that album on by mistake, right, and I don't realize I chucked that album on, and I'm listening to that music, automatically, even before they start singing or rapping or whatever, you can tell it's a Stray Kids song. You know, like the whole vibe of it is very Stray Kids. It's kind of hard to contextualize what I mean, but it's just it's a feeling, right? It's the beat, the way they come in, the chorus, like everything just makes it very Stray Kids. And I think that the fact that they're really going into their style and kind of consolidating the style that they have is what makes this album so strong.
정말 뮤직비디오 자체가 스케일이 너무 크잖아.
맞아. 누가 한강에서 배를 띄워서 춤을 추겠냐고.
뮤비가 말이 안 되지. 한강 위에서 찍는다고.
So the Han River, I know it. No, I don't know it, but I remember I've been watching a drama recently, and there was like this whole scene with the Han River where the guy he comes from like the countryside and he visits the Han River to like visit it or whatever and just see it. But he goes to a location that's like 3 hours away, but it's still the Han River. So like that made me realize it's like this massive river in Seoul, right? And they did the music video near that. So I didn't realize the enormity of what that meant while I was watching it. And then I watched that drama and then I came back to it. I was like, oh, that's actually crazy when you think about it.
많이 보겠는데 뭐 비밀 유지가 가능한가 생각했는데 정말 한 강에서.
Yeah, that's true actually. Like, wouldn't people realize that Stray Kids is shooting something?
서울의 전경이 딱 어묵 3개 드시고 가셨어. 위인전의 노래.
Who was that? JYP
저게
came.
1번 트랙이라고 하니까 근데 뭔가 잘 어울리긴 한다.
That's such a specific thing. Someone's like, he had 3 rice cakes or fish cakes or whatever he said, and he left. That's such a specific memory.
뭔가 전 탑라인도 굉장히 좋았어요.
I love Top Line as well. Top Line was so good. Oh, okay.
안 좋은 생각 떠올랐어.
I thought he was talking. I thought he was talking about the actual song Top Line. I was gonna say, why are you talking about that? We're talking about Hall of Fame right now.
속의 영웅을 보는 느낌은 굉장히 신기한 것 같아. 현실감이 안 느껴져. 언벨 촬영했을 때 그날 솔직히
When you think about it, you know what it's like? Imagine you're a rapper in America and you collab with like, I don't know, like Eminem, right? Or Dr. Dre or something like that. That's the level. Like I did some research on Tiger JK or whatever his name is. And that's kind of the level on a Korean rapper or hip hop kind of stage, you know what I mean? Like that would be the equivalent. It would be crazy. Imagine that. Like you'd be like, what the fuck is happening right now?
제발 좀 찍어주라고 해가지고 그걸 아직.
Oh wait, there's gonna be a music video for Top Line?
진짜 말 걸고 싶었는데 말 한마디도 안 걸었어? 못 걸었어. 진짜 떨려가지고. 아니 너무 어릴 때부터 팬이고 나 진짜.
Oh, so couldn't even speak to him.
들었어. 진짜 안 걸었네. 주변에서 야 전화번호 받아 막 어.
That's how you know that Han is actually an introvert.
진짜 쫄보네. 감사합니다. 감사합니다. 어떻게 보면은 타이거 제키
Not Sungmin calling him a little bitch. That's essentially what he said. He's like, you little bitch. Why did you just talk to him? Oh, that's hilarious. Sungmin is so savage for no reason. He said scaredy cat, but you know, we know what he really meant.
우리 슈퍼볼 솔직히 좀 오래됐잖아.
Okay, I loved Super Bowl. So Super Bowl was interesting to me, right? Because Super Bowl, I started with, I wasn't the biggest fan, to be honest. The first time I listened to it, I wasn't like, I liked it, but I wasn't like fully into it at all that much. It was like, okay, this is cool, whatever. And then I listened to it a couple more times, and on my, because I did like essentially three videos about 5-star album, right? We listened to it twice on stream, and then we did like a tier list. And I remember on the first stream, I was like, okay, this is cool, this is alright, but it's not my favorite. And then by the time we got to the third stream, or second stream actually, when I was doing the tier list, it somehow went up into my top ranking as a song, and I just really liked it. And the third time I listened to it, I was like, on stream, I was obsessed with Super Bowl.
찾은 것 같아 우리가. 방황하다가 나는 답을 안 찾을 거야 하고 우리는 계속 떠돌아다니고 있는데 다리 잡힌 떠돌아다니라고.
Yeah.
표현 되게 좋다.
그대로 흘러가는 대로 왔어.
That's why I like Stray Kids, you know what I mean? Like, they're all kind of, like, they're a group, right? They're a cohesive group, but they're all kind of like wild, you know, like, go with the flow, just kind of crazy guys in the way they are, like, personality-wise, obviously, but even the way that they do their songs and stuff, it's just like, you know what they remind me of? They remind me of gathering like 8 strong, wild dudes, right? And just being a crew and just doing instead of them like it's hard to explain, but instead of them like kind of working as a team on purpose, it's like they all do what they can do and they just charge forward, but it ends up being a very cohesive team because they're all just like looking into the future and willing to just do whatever, you know? Like, yeah, that's what it reminds me of. It just reminds me of like eight dudes that are just willing to all go 100% into something, which ends up them being a really good team. That's the way I feel it. It's like they don't try to be a cohesive team on purpose. It's like it's a byproduct of them all wanting the same thing and being just as kind of like uncontrollable and wild as the next person in the group. You know what I mean? So I think they really work well as a group, which I think that's why I like them. It's probably why they're my favorite group, just because I feel like other groups almost have a more, I don't want to say planned, but a more planned cohesiveness. Their one is just, they're a bunch of maniacs that only would only work if they were together in this group that they're in. You know what I mean?
우리 노래 중에 DLC라는 곡이 있잖아.
Okay, I like DLC. This took me a while to actually get into it. Like a lot of these songs, oddly in this album, like it took me a while before I got into the album. You know, like before I kind of really started enjoying the songs. Like there was a couple of songs like Item and Top Line, which I immediately was obsessed with. But a lot of these songs, it's like it was kind of a slow burn to become obsessed.
신나지.
근데 완전 밝지만은 않아.
맞아.
Yeah.
이 막 비트만 들어도 약간 신나면서도 약간 조금의 어두운.
I agree with that. I think that's why I like it as well, because I'm not a fan of like bright music, you know, like too much like poppy brightness and like, you know, I'm not a fan of that type of stuff. But this one has like this low keyness to it, almost like it's not even a darkness. It's like, I don't know. It's like, it's weird. It's like a low key brightness, if that makes sense. It's hard to explain, but I think I couldn't contextualize why I enjoyed this song, where I don't enjoy songs similar to this with that kind of bright atmosphere a lot of the time. And I think that's what it is. Like Lino really contextualized exactly why I like it, I think.
그 애프터 파티 때 뚜벅이처럼 춤추고 막
이거 뭐.
컨셉이었거든, 솔직히 말해서.
에이.
컨셉이 지금 누가 거기서 그렇게 쳐?
야, 난 그거 2층에서 보고 있었어.
Jumpin's telling you, like, look, man, I can dance, okay?
리듬 타는 애들이 없이 그냥 다 이러고 있어.
굉장히 그 한 노래를 한 노래 오래 듣는 경향이 좀 있긴 한데
Yeah.
죽어보자는 트랙이 이럴 때 이렇게 터지는 게 많잖아. 이 노래를 계속 듣다 보면 더 좋은 것 같아.
I agree with that. I think that's the case for all of the songs, to be honest. They get better the more you hear them.
많은 스테이가 한 번 들으면 계속 듣지 않을까.
특이해서
Though I think I've listened to Get Lit probably the most. Nah.
올드스쿨로 바뀌는.
Have I? Nah. Actually, I've probably listened to Top Line and Item the most, but Get Lit for like the more excitable songs, like the more bright songs, I probably listened to... I've listened to Get Lit the most out of the more brighter songs of the album, I would say.
이게 가사가 귀에 싹싹 박혀.
맞아.
나는 솔직히 멜로디랑 트랙을 많이 듣는 타입이야. 솔직히 가사보다는.
아, 그치.
가사는 이제
Yeah, no,
보면서
that's
이렇게
so
봐야
true.
좀
That's so fucking true. Like the track and the melody of Item is what makes it strong. Like the lyrics, okay, are cool as well. Don't get me wrong. But like, if it wasn't for the melody and the beat of Item, I genuinely think I wouldn't be so obsessed with it, because that really is what it creates the whole vibe of this song, makes me so excited to listen to it every time. Lino is really good at kind of contextualizing and kind of establishing what thoughts I have, and what I don't realize is what I'm thinking. You know what I mean? So I think he's really good at that.
잘 들리고 그런데 근데 이건 가사가 쏙쏙 들어오니까
아, 근데 그거 되게 좋은 말이다. 멜로디를 중심으로 듣고 트랙을 중심으로 듣는 사람들이 가사가 잘 들렸다는 거는
그치
Yeah.
가사가 진짜 임팩트가 있고 잘 꽂혔다는 소리거든요.
그치
That's true as well, though. Like I think that's why the lyrics are easy to realize, like to hear, is because the melody and the beat and everything in the track is so well done. The lyrics just kind of pop out as well. So it's not something you need to be really conscious of listening to as well, which is, I think, really good. Which which is why it's the best song.
한번 써보고 싶다 해서 like
Yeah.
대놓고 그렇게 말을 안 했는데 약간 누구를
돌려서.
그리워하듯이
Where you
그런
could tell that
식으로
that's what was happening.
그
Yeah.
마음을 그대로 가사로 표현을 해서 의미는 그래도 더블 미닝.
So I like that. That's the thing I like is that the song's not outwardly it's not outwardly mentioning what the song's about. Like it's not outwardly talking about the bushfires, right? In Australia that happened in 2019. But if you know what's happening and if you know what like if you kind of know the background of the song, you can kind of understand like you can tell it's talking about that. You know what I mean? Like I think that's really good. Because I think music that is ambiguous, but also easily understood what is being told, I think that makes music better than outright talking about the bushfires or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So I think that's what really makes it a good song. I've listened to Beautiful so many times.
그 의도로 만든 거긴 했어. 근데 본부에서 뮤트풀이라는 노래 되게 좋아하고 뭔가 뮤트풀의 메시지를
Actually,
되게
so-
좋아해서 너무
I'm writing my own book, right? And whenever I need to write a sad scene or something, or like a kind of melancholic scene, immediately the first song I put on, just so I'm in that headspace, I go Beautiful, put that shit on a loop. Because I always get the best writing when I'm doing like a sad or kind of melancholy scene when I use that song. It's so good.
뭔지 알 것 같아. 왜냐면 나 똑같은 생각했었거든. 근데 그 고민 때문에 진짜 필릭스랑 같이 진짜 머리 엄청 쓰면서 가사를 하나씩
So this has nothing to do with what they're talking about right now, but I really love the IN Chan dynamic. I don't know what it is about them, but I love them together. I don't know what it is. Like, maybe it's like a special thing because they're the oldest and the youngest and it's like a different relationship, but I just love when they're together. I think they're like one of my favorite duos, honestly.
저는 보컬이 너무 늘고 너무 잘 불러가지고
과찬이십니다.
보컬이 진짜 안정적이고 듣는 입장에서 불안한 게 없어서 난 이게
These two are so like old married couple coded. It's not even funny.
근데 잘해. 근데 잘하긴 해.
내면 되지.
It is funny, but like
힘들어. 괜찮은데.
뭔가 스트레이키즈의 뭔가 하나의 무기가 됐을 수도 있겠지만 그거까지 오기 전까지 우리가 정말 뭐 욕 먹은 적도 많고 우리 스스로도 우리가 한계라고 느꼈던 적이 매 순간이야. 매 곡 작업했던 순간마다 항상 한계라고 느꼈어.
Yeah.
우리 끝난 것 같은데. 우리 이제 안 나오는데 이제 뭘 해야 될지 모르겠는데 계속 그랬는데.
I think generally, like even if you're not famous band or group or whatever, I think that generally that's what every person goes through. Like in the way that like when you do something and you're doing something, working on something really hard, everyone reaches a stage every time they're just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. There's nothing else. I can't get better. I can't do this better. But obviously there's always in ways to improve and get over these hurdles. So yeah, generally I think that's a pretty common thing.
이걸 이제 조금 자신감도 생기고.
It's actually crazy how important confidence is in anything. Like,
다른 애들도 약간 여기서
I feel like a lot of the time, like obviously talent and hard work is important, but a lot of the time, I think if you have confidence, you can overcome so many things. It's actually crazy. Like, because I remember when I was a teenager, I wasn't the most confident guy. I remember I was 18 and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to force myself to be confident. And after that, everything became so much easier and just so much, it was so much easier to achieve things and do things because I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to force myself to be confident about these things when I'm in these situations. But yeah.
하는 사람이 없으니까 이 보면서 힘이 나. 약간 옆에 있는 애를 보면 내가 더 노력해야 될 것 같고 이 사람을 보면 또 내가 더 노력해야 될 것 같고 그러다 보니까 이 뭔가 스키즈의 특별함은 개개인마다의 욕심이 아닐까.
서로의 좋은 자극제가 되는 뭔가 이제 점점 더.
You know, I think when I look at Stray Kids, I really think of the term leading by example. Not to simp on my boy Channy more, but I think he's like, if we even go back to Survival Kid shows, he is just kind of absolutely obsessive work ethic. I think really kind of molded them into becoming this way. I think they were still hardworking, don't get me wrong, but I think genuinely, if you look at the way Chen was in the survival show, that man is working 58 hours a day. Like, I know there's only 24 hours in a day, but he's somehow working 58 hours in a day. So I think that really like nurtured this environment of working hard being kind of an expectation, which, and I think it happened without them almost realizing, a lot of the members, where working hard became their answer for everything, which I think is a good thing. Because a lot of people say, like, you shouldn't, like, you know, working hard, like a lot of people look at working hard and being obsessed about something as a negative, because it's like, oh, you need to have a healthy balance or whatever, which I agree with to an extent. But I think there's a difference between working hard on something that you don't enjoy and then being obsessive about something that you love doing anyway. So yeah, it's just interesting to see the way the Stray Kids team has been molded by the way Chan is. I think it's not all molded by how he is, but I think there's a large like percentage of the way Stray Kids views working hard, and you know, that whole system is a large reason is because of the way Chen has led his team, I think. Which now, at this point, it's just natural for them all to be that way. Yeah. I get what he's saying though, like, I get what he's saying, because like, once you've achieved perfection, or once you've viewed you've achieved perfection, there's nowhere to go from there. There's a wonderful quote from Bleach, actually, that really, if anyone's watched, wait, I'm gonna find that quote. Okay, so this is the quote. To quote Bleach, "There's no such thing as perfect in this world. If something is perfect, then there's nothing left to improve. Perfection only brings despair." So that quote is perfectly encapsulate what they're talking about. The idea of like, if we reach completeness or perfectionism or whatever it is, there's nowhere to go from there. There's nowhere to improve. There's nowhere to get better. There's nowhere to go higher than we went before, because you've achieved the end goal, right? So I think it is important to view this and be like, I'm never going to be perfect. I'm never going to be a complete artist or a perfect artist. There's always places I can get better and do different things and be more unique and whatever.
하나도 없고
그치 걱정.
그냥 더 잘하고 싶은 마음이 큰 것 같아.
스트레이키즈 멋있어.
Nice. That was fun. There's still 2 more parts to it. I don't know how much parts they're going to release to this, but that was fun. I really like that. I hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you are watching this on YouTube, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you're watching us on Patreon, thank you for being a patron, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.